You may know her best as a singer, songwriter, and musician. Best known for being a finalist on NBC's The Voice, along with being a national award-winning independent artist. And most recently seen singing the national anthem at the NBA Finals Game 3 between Golden State Warriors and the Boston Celtics. I'm so honored to have Michelle Brooks Thompson on today's episode of My World with Stories podcast.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I am okay. Thanks for having me on your podcast.
Of course. How did you first get started or introduced to music?
Wow, that's a good question. And when you ask how I got introduced, I have this funny story because when my mom was pregnant with me, she was also a singer. And she said that whenever she would be in the recording studio recording music, she'd have to stop because inside I would start moving to the music in her tummy. So I would say I was exposed and introduced to music when I was in the womb. And when I came out, there was just kind of not an expectation, but it wasn't a surprise that I had some kind of musical talent. So my family, my mom, my grandparents, my aunts, they all helped push and mold me into, a singer, a young child prodigy that could play the piano, could sing by the age of 9. So it just kind of unraveled from there.
Awesome. We all know that you're best known for being on The Voice.
Mm-hmm.
So how did that whole process start? Was it something that you wanted to do, or was it just came out of nowhere?
Well, Brooke, I actually did not want to do The Voice at all. And the reason for that is because I had auditioned for American Idol. I had auditioned for another singing competition twice, and then found myself on a show called Karaoke Battle USA. And it really didn't have a good outcome and overall experience. So I was done with, auditioning for these TV shows. And I was like, if it's meant to happen for me, it'll happen for me. And when it's my time. So I wasn't looking, and I had heard about The Voice, and I thought, oh, that's a nice show, but I had no interest. And it was during season 2 where I just happened to watch the episode, and my aunt called me and said, you should think about auditioning for NBC's The Voice. And I said, no, I don't think that's something that I want to do. And so I went to bed, and I woke up the very next day with an email from a talent scout who knew me, who had watched me through the years, and said that there was a national talent show that they wanted to recommend me to. And so when I called her and we spoke, she told me it was NBC's The Voice. And so I ended up with a private audition for the show. The rest is history.
The city, working for the man every night and day. And I know it's real soon. The way the people run up. Come on. Thank you. Keep on burning, and we're rolling down, rolling on the river. I said we're rolling on the river.
I know, obviously, like you said, you had to go in before you are seen live on television. What was that process like, going on TV for the first time in front of thousands of people.
Well, it was definitely a surreal moment, just even going through the process before getting to, the executive callbacks, before getting to the blind auditions. And I think one of the most memorable parts about my journey is that even though I wasn't very sure that that was something I wanted to do, all the red flags were there saying, this is for you. Like, just show up and embrace the journey, because this is part of your purpose, it's part of your destiny. And so the way that it works with most auditions, you have open call where everybody comes. You can register online, doesn't matter who you are. And then there are the ones that are private, where you've been referred to the show and your audition goes a little bit different. It's more of a one-on-one. You sing multiple songs and they uncover your backstory. They interview you. So you don't get that in open call, because you get about 30 seconds to sing. And so I was already feeling like, okay, I'm further along than I have been in any other auditions. And so I was like, man, this sounds too good to be true. Like, they're not going to pick me to go to LA for the executive callbacks. And so I had that mentality going into the audition. And, I remember thinking, this is Hollywood. And you see all the stories from American Idol where, people were kind of humiliated by their image, by their voice. And I thought, okay, what is this going to be like? And I remember feeling so uncomfortable with my image and how I looked. Like, did I have the look? Did I not have the look? And there was never any question in myself if I could sing, because I knew I could sing. And so, I'm worried about that. And I walked into my private audition and I had the president of McNulty Casting and the lead vocal coach of the show. And so before I even sang my song, they said, before you even sing, we just want to tell you that we love the way you look. And I was like, wow. Oh, wow, that's great. Casting, because they're the ones that are, making these calls, loved my whole look. And I hadn't even sang yet. So I felt like, man, okay, like this is going to be a good audition and we'll go from there. And it took a couple of months, a lot of waiting, in expectation. And I waited, finally got the call, went to LA and did my executive callbacks, had to go back home and wait. And got home and got a call. I think it was 2 days later, I got a call that I had made it to the blind auditions, which honestly, America doesn't know how this works, but all the blinds, as anybody would imagine, isn't taped on the same day. There's just too many contestants, right, to tape it all on the same day. So there's multiple days that they do taping, and it all depends on where you are in that ranking of contestants who will audition. Because if you're towards the end of that list of contestants, there's a chance that the teams, will get filled up and you never get to audition. So that was like my biggest fear when I found that out. Once I got to LA and I knew I was going to be doing a blind audition, that's when they dropped the bomb and was like, well, there's 200 and something of you, but only 64 slots. So not everybody's going to make a team, even if you are good. So that was kind of, the journey and what I was feeling leading up to, my placement actually on a team.
You were on Team Adam?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. So what was that like, just like learning from him for how long you were on?
Well, so that's a tricky question. What I will say is that on The Voice, there's a lot of behind the scenes moving parts, and you don't really get to interact so much with the coaches like you would think. And so I had this amazing vocal coach on the show, Romeo Johnson, and he's worked with other celebrities in the music industry. And I was very blessed to work with him. And I learned a lot from him, especially on how to use my voice, because my voice is pretty big. And using it in the right way is very key, because you get a lot of artists who've never had that type of training. And, working with him more so than Adam, because with Adam, it was really for the moment, for the taping, right? And he had studied what we had recorded, and whether it was a rehearsal, and then would give his feedback. So we didn't get to really work one-on-one with the coaches as much as we did the vocal coaches behind the scene.
What did you learn from being on the show?
Man, I would say that I think it's more motivation for my individual journey as well as anyone else's journey, because sometimes I think people get so, set on the idea of you have to win these things to be successful.
Right.
And I've learned just in my own career that sometimes the loser, if you want to, that's what, obviously you didn't win. So sometimes the runner up or someone who doesn't get all the way goes on to have an amazing career. And sometimes it's better because you have more opportunities than being tied to a show for however long, or with a record company through the show for however long. And so for me, when I got eliminated, I felt really bummed. I was like, man, like I did my best. And when I got let go, Adam publicly said that my voice was just incredible. My performances were amazing, and there was really nothing else that he could do with me. So he kept the person who he felt he could develop. And I was, I had mixed feelings. I'm like, well, at least he told America and all the people in the music industry that, Michelle Briggs Thompson is already there. Like, she's phenomenal. I can't even do anything with her, and I'm Adam Levine. But then on the flip side, I was just like, man, like I would have liked to have one, So, but those two things were in my mind. Like, okay, well, at least he told him I was good, and I didn't get kicked off the show because I was terrible. But then I didn't win. So producers encouraged us. They told us that it really didn't matter if you won or lose or lost, because it's all about what you make of that platform. So you had two options. You could leave the show, go back home, do nothing. Or you could leave the show and practically hit the ground running. So me being me, very ambitious, very goal focused. I graduated high school in 3 years. I was only 16 when I graduated high school. So I've always been a challenger. Like, I'm always like, okay, what's next? What are we going to do? And so I was like, okay, I didn't win. Now I maximize off of this experience. I maximize off of this platform and use it in my resume for what I've done in my music career. So.
Yeah, that's great. I was listening to Katy Perry, because she does American Idol, and I was watching her, and she was saying, even if you're just in the top 10 or top 20 or whatsoever, you still have a chance. You're still a winner. So great.
You really are. It's all about the passion and drive that you have. And some people are fueled by the words no, oh, you're not good enough. You can't. Okay, yes, I can. Because it all starts about who believes in themselves. And if you have that, like I didn't leave the show feeling like, man, I can't sing. Like, I'm never gonna get to where I want to be. Um, the industry itself is a beast. That's the nice term, and there are some happy moments, there are some bad moments. And those negative moments can really push someone away from what their goal is. And I've had many of those moments where I've been like, you know what, I don't even want to deal with this. I don't have to deal with this. I'm not gonna deal with it, but my heart has always been for music. And I've felt my purpose is music, to use my voice to reach people in a special way. And so I couldn't really let music go because it's so much a part of who I am.
Right. You obviously, before The Voice, you went to college. What did you particularly study? Like, I hear that it was music. How to do it?
Yeah. So before it was music,
Mm-hmm.
it was medicine.
Okay.
I was in school to be a doctor. And the reason I wanted to be a doctor is because I grew up in a household of music. And it was like, everybody's a musician, everybody's a singer. There's nothing really special about this. And I really like helping people. So I'm going to become a doctor. And I wanted to be a pediatrician. So I picked my school based on their science program. And while I went through my first 3 years and the beginning semester of my senior year, I was still totally involved in music, right? Staying up late, doing lab reports, getting in the lab, taking chemistry, calculus, all that stuff. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be a doctor. And I got to my senior year, my first semester, and I woke up one morning and I was like, I don't want to be a doctor. I want to be a singer. And I called my family and I was like, well, so I got some news. I'm changing my major from medicine to music. And, I remember my grandparents like, well, what do you think you're going to do with music? And I'm like, I don't know. That's exactly what I said. I said, I don't know. But I just know that in my heart, that's what I was purposed to do. And I can still help people by sharing beautiful music that speaks to the heart, because after that doctor revives that heart and that person's living in this life, they want to hear some good music. They want to hear some inspiration. And I see myself as that voice of inspiration for people.
Yeah. Speaking of, lifting people up and stuff, I know that you have a single called Never Give Up. What was
Mm-hmm.
the background of, like, was there something that occurred to making that? Like, what was that about?
Brooke, to be honest with you, it was a song sent from above. Like, it really was divine intervention when I really didn't even know I needed divine intervention. And I was in the studio recording the track for the national anthem. And my very good friend who was composing and arranging the national anthem called me and said, I have a song for you. And I'm like, okay. And he said he dreamt the song and he got up and he started writing and playing the piano and completed the song from the dream. And so it was during COVID when he first introduced it. So we were on a Zoom And he's at his piano and he's got all his papers. His name is Mark Copeland. He's a Berklee College of Music professor. And, you know, he's on his end, I'm on my end, and he's not a singer. So it was kind of funny. And he's introducing this song, and I'm just like, wow, that's really nice. Like, okay, you know, sounds good. But it wasn't until I went into the studio and was singing the song for the album that it really hit me that those words were actually for me, because I was at a place, and I would say crossroads, where I felt like I wanted to give up music. I wanted to give up my journey because it had become tedious. And I was like, you know, I don't want to do this anymore, you know, and it was a sad decision, but I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do music anymore. And this song was right there telling me, don't give up. You know, you're closer than you think, you know, you're closer than you were 5-10 years ago to your dreams, you know, and if you give up now, you won't be able to walk in your dreams. And so this song really was like divine intervention at its best. And I think we all have those songs that have motivated us, talked us off a ledge, encouraged us to keep going. And this was the song for me.
Closer to the wheel. Never give up. Oh, you can make it. Never give it. Oh, yeah. Closer to the top. Closer to the wheel. Never give up. Never give up.
You obviously wrote it with someone. So like, what is like the song process like creating the song?
So are you asking in general or with this one?
Any song, like what's your process?
So there's a couple of approaches a singer may take, or writer. Sometimes a writer just writes, right? And there's no music, there's nothing, it's just your writing. And then there are times where producers and singers and writers might have a session in a studio, and they're listening to tracks and they're writing to the music. Or they may, you know, take a song that they wrote and create music around that. For me, I've written a lot of songs that I released, and it's literally been like, I wake up out of my sleep and I'm singing a song that I heard, or I'm just sitting at my piano and I start singing a song that I've never sang before, but I just sing it from beginning to end. And I always put my voice memo on my phone to capture that, because I'm like, where is this song coming from? And it's coming from my soul. And so everybody's creative process might be a little different in terms of how they write songs and create music.
What is like, besides like the music that you've put out there, is there like a particular song that you just love singing?
Well, everybody who knows me knows that I am a huge Whitney Houston fan. And I love one of her songs that I sing a lot, which is "I Will Always Love You." And, you know, I sang that song, and my kids know it so much that they try to sing it with me. But I just always felt like that was such a beautiful song, as well as "One Moment in Time."
So I know that you have a new song out,
Mhm.
Then I Met You. What was that process like, putting out another song?
So you know, you kind of wanna, as an artist, you wanna keep giving your fans music, right? And so the goal was, because we had released Live It Up at the end of last year, and that was an up tempo, you know, pop song. And we were like, okay, let's do something like a ballad. So at the same time, I was releasing a gospel song and then releasing my first smooth jazz, R&B, whatever people want to call it. It was my first love song. And I was so excited because the lyrics were so beautiful, and it reminded me of my husband. And so I really was happy to sing and record the song and release it. And apparently it's doing really well. A lot of people like it. And you never know, like as an artist, you release music, you're passionate about it, you put your time, your money, promotion, resources, all of that. And you don't know how the song is going to be received or what it's going to do. But you release it, because it's your music. And when we released it, we thought it was good. We didn't know how good though. So seeing it do what it's doing on the charts is really nice.
God to me will always take a stand. Ooh, we go 50-50 on this love. You fit me so perfectly, baby. Fit me like a glove. And I'm so happy I get to call you mine. Yes, you do, baby.
Been looking on your page a lot, and it's like a new post every day. I'm like, oh my god, like that's so good.
Yeah. It's definitely crazy. It's a blessing. I just feel so humbled that people across the world want to hear me sing, which is, because it's like somebody whose family tells them all the time, oh my gosh, you sound amazing, but maybe they're not the best singer, right? And then you step outside of that box of your family and closest friends, and you're in the real world. And the world is going to let you know whether you're good or not. So when I first released my album back in 2015, I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. I got my own album. Wow. And then in 2017, I released another single called I Am Triumphant. And that was the first time I started seeing my name on the Billboard. And I thought, oh, wow, that's pretty cool. But then last year and this year, it was just a whole new level that I didn't imagine. I didn't think was ever going to happen. So seeing it, it's humbling for me. I don't know, some people probably get a super big head because they're like, oh, I'm kind of famous, I'm kind of a star, and people listen to my music. Like, I am the exact opposite. I just find it humbling and amazing that people want to hear Michelle Brooks Thompson. And I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool.
So obviously with I don't know if we should, like, I could say like the pandemic is ending, but like with the pandemic, kind of, getting better, you've been out obviously performing and stuff. What has that been like, from now to
Ah.
then?
Yeah. So there's nothing like live music. There's nothing better. And I was fortunate to be able to do virtual performances in 2020, which was nice. And then the earlier part of 2021, I was still doing some virtual. And then the summer it opened up and I was able to get back out. And now this year I've been out everywhere, traveling the country, getting out, performing, and I'm looking forward to more. It's so fun. Like, I love just, being around the people and watching them enjoy the music and having a really good time. And we need that right now because there's so much unhappiness. There's so much, hate and we just need to come together, and I think music does that. And it's great to see things opening back up so that we can have more concerts. People can come out with their friends and family and just enjoy themselves and have fun.
Right. That is so true. I know that you also do church performances, as a singer. What is
Mhm.
that
Like many of the singers, like Patti LaBelle, Aretha Franklin, Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey, all those singers got their start in the church.
like?
And I am no different. My maternal grandparents were pastors. So my mom and her siblings were, what they refer to as preacher's kids. And so they grew up in the church playing instruments and singing. And so that just sort of got passed down to me. So when I was 13, my mom passed away. And she was the minister of music for my grandfather's church. But because I was so advanced at 13 with playing the piano, directing choirs, I actually took on the role of minister of music at 13, which was really like, whoa. A little overwhelming for a 13-year-old turning 14, because, when you're young, and you have to teach adults and you have to tell them you're singing the wrong note. That's a little intimidating. So I did that until I graduated college at 22.
Yeah. I experienced like the same thing as like you talking about like wrong notes and stuff. Like I think, like I do musicals at school, and like there
Yeah.
were so many times where I would talk to and they're like, "He's doing this wrong," and I don't get it right till like the show, which I mean I guess is okay, but like I'm like, oh my god, I'm like ruining the song. But yeah, I totally get it.
That's why practice makes perfect. You have to practice, have rehearsals and everything.
Is there like a dream like artist that you would love to like collab with someday?
Well, unfortunately, she's deceased, but if there was someone else that I would love to collaborate with, it would be Mariah Carey. Or there's a gospel singer by the name of Yolanda Adams. And if I could do something with one of them, I would actually like to do something with Tamar Braxton.
Yeah, those are amazing vocalists.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm hoping that one day I will get to share the stage and do a song with one of them. Mariah, definitely, because she was, for me, like under training. As a young girl, I would literally lock myself in my room. I would listen to her songs. I would listen to Monica, Whitney Houston, Brandy, Celine Dion, and I would learn their songs and then try to out sing what they did.
Yeah.
Because that was where the bar was set for me by listening to them. But I wanted to go above that bar and really, develop my voice. And so that was literally how I trained myself.
Yeah. I look a lot up to like Carrie Underwood and stuff, and
Yeah, she's great.
people always ask me, they're like, "Why do you look up to her? She's country. You're not even from, that area." But like, I just like her because she has like a great belt, and it's just strong, just like you do.
Yeah. And I think that, some artists are very humble, and you can see that about them, and they don't even have to say much, but the energy that they give off. And, for me, Carrie Underwood, I always liked her from American Idol because I thought she was just kind of like the down to earth girl next door, just blessed with an amazing gift and got the opportunity to live out her dream. And I think that's incredible.
So let's talk about like your national anthem history of. I know that you've done it at the Celtics because obviously that's where I met you. Me petrified. Who are you? Uh, like, how did you first like get into that kind of stuff? Because that stuff is like terrifying.
So I actually started in high school, and I was a cheerleader on the football team, and everybody knew that Michelle Brooks Thompson could sing. And so they needed somebody to sing the anthem one night. And I was like, okay, I'll learn the national anthem, and started singing it for the football and the basketball games. And when I was dating my husband, I sang for his football team, UMass Amherst. And then I sang at a semi-pro football game. And then I did a couple of college ones after that. And that was around like 2010. And so then in 2011, the Boston Red Sox were having their first annual Sing Your Way to Fenway. And it was a national anthem competition where they went to 6 New England states. They were looking for the top 12 out of the people they heard, and one would be the winner to open up for opening day, sing the anthem at opening day. So I didn't know anything about this competition, and I got to work, and my boss met me at the front door of the bank, and she had the newspaper in her hand, and she said, you have to leave work and go audition. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? She's like, the Red Sox are having this competition to sing the national anthem, and you need to go and audition. And I'm like, okay. So I literally it was the last stop because it was at UMass Amherst. And I got there like towards the end of the auditions. And I sang, packed up my stuff, and left. And out of 121 singers, I ended up winning the overall contest. So I sang at Fenway in 2011 for opening day. And Brooke, it spread from there. Like, I don't even know. Like, people heard me. I became a fan favorite at Fenway. I became, the leading people, the directors and stuff. I became one of their favorites. And then, next was like the Boston Symphony Orchestra, the Firefighters of Massachusetts, the DNC, oh my gosh, it just kind of went on. Then the Patriots, then the New England Revolution, the lacrosse team for Massachusetts, like then other sports outside of the state, across all major sports. I think the only one I haven't done is tennis yet, because I've done lacrosse, I've done soccer, I've done hockey, baseball, football, I mean, you name it, basketball, and different organizations, different programs. I've performed the national anthem for, and I didn't realize that people loved my version so much. And I've had so many people come up to me after I've performed, and they're in tears because they say that when I was singing, they can't describe the way that they felt, and that it was just like, it's the best anthem they've ever heard. I'm like, whoa, that's crazy.
You must be a huge sports fan.
I enjoy, so my favorite sport, I'd have to say, it's a tie. Well, I won't even say favorite sport. I'm gonna say which arena I like to sing at first. So I love singing at Fenway. The fans are just crazy out there. And it's always a fun time when I go. And next would be the Celtics. Those are my 2 favorite arenas to sing at.
Is there like any upcoming work that you could share that, or like any goals, mixed into that?
So, oh my gosh, we are working on an album, and so we've got some songs, and we're working on getting them out pretty soon. We are also working on some national award nominations, so more to come on that. I wish I could say, but there's some other like really exciting things that my team and I are working on. And when I'm able to announce what those are, you will definitely be one of the people to know. So we're just, my goal is next year to be nominated for a Grammy for my song. So everything, all the effort, the resources, everything that we're doing now for my songs are so that we can work towards my first Grammy nomination next year. So fingers crossed that, that comes to fruition.
Is there like any advice that you would want to give to anybody that would like to pursue music or do the things that you have done?
One of the things that I always say when I'm asked this question is really be sure that music is what you want to do, right? Because if it's something that you want to do, you feel you were put here to do, then you're going to give it 110%. And those moments when you get knocked down, you might get knocked down, but you're not going to get knocked out. So you get back up and you keep going. And sometimes when we're chasing things that really aren't for us, things that we really want, we're easily deterred because of the closed doors, because of the rejections. And so, my advice is be sure that this is what you want, because it's not overnight success. I wish more artists in the industry would be very transparent about their process, because for us, all we see is, bam, there's this new artist, they're a superstar. Okay, what did it take to get there? What was your experience like? How many no's did you get? Did you just wake up one day and you were at a label and you were a superstar? No, you weren't. And so that is the part of my journey that I like to share with artists, to, be transparent that, you know what, you're going to get rejection. That's just what it is. People are going to tell you you're not good enough. People are going to tell you, oh, that song isn't a hit, but you keep going. You keep going. And, it doesn't matter. If you believe in your heart that that was what you're supposed to do, and that's part of your purpose and your destiny, then everything will line up when it's your time. But you have to be in position. So if you're not in position to receive what's meant for you, then you'll never get to that place. So the way that you get in position is you work hard, you keep going, you do what it takes. And even if it seems like it's kind of delayed or it's difficult, sometimes you hear a no, sometimes you hear a yes. And there are wolves in sheep's clothing in the industry. I just put that out there, because when you're an independent artist, people try to take advantage of you because you're hungry and you really want to get to that next level. So I just tell you, people who are aspiring to do this, just be vigilant, be aware of your circle, people who are coming to you, because they see something that you have. Just make sure that you've got a good team that believes in you and supports you, because that's also the second thing. Because you want people that are not just hanging on until you make it, so that they can reap the benefit. You want people who believe in you when you're low, believe in you when you're high, and stay with you until you achieve that dream or that goal that you have.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, I'm speaking from experience, Brooke.
Yeah.
I really am. And like I said, a lot of artists who are trying to make it in this industry, trying to find their foot, their position, you know, they see the superstars. They don't see the journey. They just see all the fame, all the fortune, all of that. And they're like, man, I'm going to get to that. But no, there are some hurdles. And some of those hurdles will either make or break you. And that's why I said, be sure that this is what you want to do, because when you get to that hurdle that's going to make or break you, it'll make you, because you're so sure that this is your purpose. You're sure that it's your destiny. So you take it as a learning, you know, a learning curve. You take it as part of your process so that, you know, okay, so this next time I'm not going to do that because I'm aware now. I see what happened. Not take it as, okay, I guess it's not meant to be. No, you have to learn. You know, there's going to be some problems and you learn from them, and just keep going. As long as you have breath, you keep going. And I never let society's age limits deter me from focusing on my goal. And sometimes people feel intimidated because they might be considered past the industry age, or, you know, past their prime to have success. But I don't believe that at all, because if you have something that people like, you could be 85. If they like it, they're going to buy it. They're going to listen to it. They're going to support it. And so I don't look at my age. I don't look at how long I've been on this journey. I just have my eyes on my goals, and I'm just working until I achieve them.
That's exactly like how I feel with like this podcast, because like I'm younger. Obviously,
Mhm.
normal interviewers do it, but I'm like, you know what? Like, it is what it is, and I love it. So
You just keep learning, and it's like myself. I didn't know. I'll tell you a story. When I lived in St. Louis, I was working at the bank, and someone from the rapper Nelly's like entourage would always come to the bank and deposit his royalty checks and stuff like that. And all of the tellers would be like, "Oh my gosh, he's like rich and he makes all this money doing music." And they would always, you know, hint to him that, hey, you know, she sings, she's a singer, blah, blah, blah. And so one day he was like, oh, okay, great. Where's your demo? I was like, demo? What is that? I didn't know what a demo was. I was so new at this, although I was thirsty for, you know, getting a record deal. I didn't know what a demo was. And I'm like, wait, I need a demo? What is that? And I finally learned what a demo was. I was 23? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't have a demo. Like, I need to get a demo. So I went and recorded a song that I wrote in college. And I considered that my demo, because that was all I had. But I learned, you know, I really learned. And as I've continued on my journey, I've made it my business to learn the industry. That means, you know, entering my music, copywriting my music, making sure I'm getting the royalties I'm supposed to, you know, because a lot of independent artists don't know that part of the business. And that's so important, because then that's how you get taken advantage of. So I've made it my business to learn as much as I can as an independent recording artist.
awesome. Is there like any social medias where people could stay up to date? Like, I know that you have a website and stuff, but like, is there anything on there?
Yeah, so they can follow me on Facebook, Michelle Brooks Thompson, or Instagram or Twitter, MB Thompson Sings. And I'm on TikTok, but I ain't got no videos really yet, but I'm on there, Michelle Brooks Thompson. So I really definitely love it when people reach out and share, you know, if they have questions, if they want guidance, they want a little inspiration. I'm the type of artist that will respond and engage.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much again. Like,
You're welcome, Brooke. And I wish you all the best with your podcast. I'm sure this will continue to flourish and be something amazing. You're welcome.
Thank you so much for listening and watching to My World with Stories podcast. For more info, go to Instagram and Facebook at My World with Stories podcast, and make sure that you give us a like, a subscribe, a follow, whatever you want. Do it because we love you guys so much. And thanks for being with us. Bye.